is America.
America!
I do love America.
Be a part of the show at 850-233-9988. The Kramer Show on NewsTalk at 101.
Scott Major's with us today from Major Peruis and the Storm Help Team. Use this opportunity this hour to get on the air and ask one of the most proficient lawyers we've ever met any kind of questions about post-Hurricane Michael stuff. 850-233-9988. 850-233-9988. Good morning to you, my friend.
Hey, pal, how you doing?
Doing all right. Here we are a year after the storm. We talked yesterday. Brian was on the air with us. There are multiple things to consider, multiple things to, and I ask you this sometimes. Can you give the people a little bit of a sermon about being calm and relaxing about the thought of hiring Scott Major, an attorney? You understand what and the reason I'm asking that is because I hear that sentiment all the time around here. I don't want to get, it's almost like they fear it. Like, well, that's just a whole other level. I mean, that's something, I don't know, we don't need to do that.
Well, I guess the first thing I'd start with is to ask people how important it is that they get paid under the contract that they've been paying for all of these years. If you think it's a priority, if you think it's important to you and your family to get the money which you deserve, you probably should consider hiring a lawyer like myself, because my priority to you is to try to get you all the money you deserve under the contract that you entered into, the promises that the insurance company made. I'm simply here to enforce what you've been paying for years or decades. The idea that somebody should be worried or concerned or be thinking about hiring a lawyer, it should be just completely eliminated, because if you want to get the best result, you should hire the best person for the job. When you hire a lawyer, which is advantageous over any other person you hire, the lawyer has a unique right. That right is that they can file an action, a lawsuit, or a complaint for you, and they can force the insurance company to pay a penalty if the insurance company is not honoring their promises. Anybody who doesn't want to take the greatest weapon and help yourself should seriously reconsider what is causing the pause or the delay. When the lawyer gets involved, especially a lawyer like our firm, and we file a lawsuit, it triggers the right of us to recover exactly what we need to recover. And that is, we can recover not only the amount of money that you're entitled to, but sometimes your lawyer can end up being free. I have cases, many of them, where I have gotten the insurance company to pay all of the amount that was requested, and on top of that, to take care of all of the attorney's fees. So when you didn't have to pay anything, your lawyer was free, or your lawyer ended up costing you very little money. Why anybody wouldn't want that is beyond me. And why anybody would listen to any rumor or myth to the contrary is beyond me. At some juncture, people have to be wise enough and courageous enough to understand truth. You're listening to the political world, and we have all these questions about what's going on, and all people want is the truth. Well, the truth is that I get a right to attorney's fees. And the truth is, I have case after case where I have gotten money for our clients and been able to secure a payment for attorney's fees, making the fee to the client either zero or low. What public adjuster do you know works for free? What general contractor or person with an assignment of benefits works for free? What person do you know is accepting less than 10% because they're getting most of their fee? Okay, who are they? List them out for me. And people have to understand that while there's no guarantee that you're going to get a free lawyer, the point I'm illustrating is that we create such a motivation for the insurance company to pay because they're going to face a substantial penalty for not paying you all of the money that you want, that you think you're entitled to, that you deserve. And so everybody should be disabused of the idea that somehow they should stay with their public adjuster or general contractor over 1 year into this. It's insane. And I challenge you to find another lawyer with a better track record for the hundreds or thousands of cases that I've either seen or personally been involved in terms of the results. And I've spent the last year talking with you, and never once have I bragged about my skills. Never once have I tried to get people to hire me. Instead, I've educated people and told them you can hire whoever you want. But conceptually, factually, and truthfully, lawyers like myself get exceptional results, especially in the Hurricane Michael cases where you have a Category 5 storm. And so I would encourage people to pick up a phone and dial the 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS, and get intelligence so you can make the best decision about what you want to do. We have given free advice to, I can't even tell you how many people, with what their public adjuster is doing and how to get claims even if you're not going to hire us. If you want to hire a different lawyer, how your lawyer's doing and helping them with other cases they have with other lawyers and general contractors and roofers and plumbers and other public adjusters. So the reality is that you would be crazy not to take advantage of hiring somebody who has no desire other than to get what you're entitled to. I'm not trying to get more than the insurance company owes you. I'm trying to get you what you deserve. I'm trying to make the insurance companies just honor what they promised. Oftentimes, they'll get me, and then they'll say, hey, we need to pay. And time after time, I've had insurance companies to this day constantly writing me saying, what's your number? We want to settle. So I encourage people to take advantage of the opportunities that are before them to hire lawyers like myself who win for a living, who have demonstrated intelligence and knowledge of this area. Any lawyer you hire, you ask them, has your firm personally handled 500 or more cases? Have you been to trial? Have you handled cases in such a way that you have an education of this? Did you used to work for the insurance company so you've been on both sides? I mean, what better person would you want to hire? Heck, I'd hire myself. So it's just being smart about this and recognizing this is your family, this is your life, this is your entitlement to recover monies that should have been paid in month one. You and I should be on the phone talking about butt implants and not talking about insurance, recoveries that still haven't been made because people don't have lawyers like me to be able to advocate for them. And so it's really important for us to educate people out there, as you've done so ably over the past year in trying to get people to understand their rights and to understand that they have the capability of getting larger recoveries quicker with the right talent on their side. I had a meeting the other day, and the person that I was having the meeting with is not from here. He's from Tennessee, and I don't know how long he's been down here, but we were talking about some business stuff, and he said, over the past year, what has been the biggest, he was asking me what the biggest challenge was or whatever.
And I said, I could sit here and answer that in several different ways, but I said, I think what bothers me the most from talking to people is that there have just been people that have been taken advantage of left and right. And it seems like in every facet of this whole post-Hurricane Michael world that we're in. And the great thing about having you on and getting to know you over the past year is I know that you're not out there. You're not one of these skeezy people that's out there trying to take advantage of people. You're actually out there, and I think and I feel like when I talk to you, you really get it and you understand. I think you've worked enough storms to know, and you, like you said, you've been doing this for a long time, and so you've been all over. I mean, I've seen you on television in New York. I think it was the state of New York somewhere, all the way from there to Miami and everywhere in between. And you know what you're talking about, but there seems to be a really solid human element there. And I know it's business, and I know we're talking about money and the insurance companies and all of that stuff. But what I want to say, and it's most important out of everything, is that we've had so many people around here that we've all heard that have been taken advantage of. That ends when you pick up the phone and you call Scott. That ends. Because I know he's not going to put up with it. He's not going to have it.
You that while I greatly appreciate the kind words that you say, and it really is helpful, I can tell you that I truly, honestly want people to have a better life. I truly and honestly want to be able to have people use my education to get them the kind of results that they can get, that they're entitled to, that they deserve. And I think that the more that we educate people, the more that they'll be able to empower themselves to do what they think is best. Listen, we've spent time just talking about what kind of insurance to buy. I challenge you to find another lawyer in the country that has spent time trying to help people do that. I have been to seminars teaching up there, maintenance people and managers of properties. I did a seminar for I don't know how many, 100 or so, of people that manage property and condo associations and other areas for a living, for free, for hours, explaining to them what they should be doing in this storm and in future storms. The concept is if you're a good person, you get the rewards. Even if I don't get all the cases, even if some of these public adjusters who you and I know have sent cases to other lawyers instead of me, and adjusters you and I know personally that have not sent every case to me, even though I've demonstrated more character than any lawyer that has ever come on this radio station since it started. We still continue to want to offer people goodness, kindness, education, and empowerment. And as a human being, you have a duty to help others. And if you can take the time to try to help others, you'll get benefits even though they aren't financial. And I'm proud to have helped hundreds or thousands of people that haven't hired me, that haven't used me, that have used other lawyers and other public adjusters. I take pride in that because it's a higher and bigger calling. I was lucky. God gifted me with a brain where I understand things at a level most people don't. My duty is to share that. My duty is to give it back, and my duty is to hope that thousands of people will hear this. And not only will they get benefited by this education, but maybe it inspires them to do something good for other people at a time when we're teaching our youth through this nonsensical media that lying is the way to get ahead. And all that matters is what you say to get ahead. Perhaps I'm a ray of hope. Perhaps I'm a reinstiller of people to be good and be honest and be generous and have character and integrity, because that's the right thing to do. That's what we need to teach our kids. That character and integrity carries the day. It always wins in the end. And even though it might not make you $1, and even though it might not guarantee that you're going to have some sort of, money result, you feel good, the people around you feel good, and God is watching. And if you do that, I think that is the greatest lesson we can teach our friends, our family, and our youth, to be good at your heart. And every day I get up, I try to contribute positively to somebody's life. I try to make somebody laugh, because that changes things for the better.
If you want to hop on, you got a question for Scott Major, 850-233-9988. That's the phone number. Hop on the air and ask him something that's going on with your particular situation, your case. 850-233-9988. More with Scott Major, coming up next.
This is the Kramer Show, giving you information you can use during the recovery process of Hurricane Michael. More is coming next on News Talk at 101. This is the Kramer Show. This is the Kramer Show. News Talk at 101.
Scott Major's with us today. Scott Major from Major Peruis and the Storm Health Team. So let's say that somebody is hearing you and they say, okay, it's time to engage Scott Major. And I'm going to call the 844-800-LAWS number. That's the phone number, by the way, to Scott and Brian. 844-800-LAWS. From that moment, can you explain, and this is for a local residential claim, what happens at that point? Take us through the steps and beyond. I'm trying to...
Sure.
I want to do this every now and then where we kind of go back to the beginning for those people who are new to the party, shall we say.
Sure. When you call in, it's a super easy process. What happens is we have a team of people that will take down the basic information that you have. If you've already seen an adjuster or you already have a contractor, we actually will just take some basic information from you for 5 minutes, and then we'll...
Scott,
information.
Did I lose you?
Oh. Hello?
Are you there? Okay, I got you. You just cut out for a second. Okay, go ahead. Sorry
about that. Sure. We'll basically take the information that you have, the basic, the address of your home, what kind of contacts you've had with anyone, your pictures, estimates, things like that. We will fill out a particular form that gives us that data, and then we will send what's called the retainer agreement on authorization, an agreement that you enter into with us that gives us the authority to contact the insurance company and your contractors to work with them direct. Once we do that, we then send a letter to the insurance company that says we are your official representative. You don't have to speak with the adjusters or you or anybody else. And then we make direct with the insurance company to find out the status of your claim. Why are they not paying? What's the reasoning? Sometimes they have explanations that are good. Sometimes they don't. At this juncture, we usually aren't going to be waiting a long time. We're generally going to be compiling either a complaint with the state, or we're going to be compiling a letter to the insurance company saying, this is your final chance. You need to let us know why you're not paying this estimate. Maybe there's an explanation they have. Maybe they're waiting on something from the public adjuster or from the contractor that you, the insured, didn't know. We try to find that out. Then we establish a procedure for preparing a lawsuit, and then we file the lawsuit, and that lawsuit, a notice. In other words, it's a notification to the insurance company. The way in which lawsuits work is you serve the actual chief financial officer, Patronus at this time. You serve them, and then they disseminate that to the insurance company. So the CFO knows exactly how many suits are pending in Florida against which carriers. And then they will generally get a lawyer involved. Sometimes they have a public adjuster, their desk level adjuster, but most of the time a lawyer will get involved. And within 20 days, or if they ask for extensions, they must prepare an answer, which is a piece of paper that says, I either agree I owe you the money, or I disagree I don't owe you the money. And then once that happens, then we are off in what's called the discovery phase, and that is the right for us to take the deposition, sworn statements of anybody we want. So I can get the adjuster, the desk level adjuster that you or the public adjuster has been speaking to, and I can make him sit down in front of a camera if I want and answer me why in the past year he has not paid a dime or he has paid 1/8 of what your estimate is. And I can go line by line and ask him, listen, explain to me why it is that you don't believe wood is needed in this particular roof replacement. Explain that to me. Why you don't think in a shingle roof situation, shingles aren't necessary. Well, if you believe they're necessary, why haven't you paid for them? What did you do in November of last year? How about December? How about January? How about February? How about March? How about April? What did you do? Tell me every single effort you made to help the person that you asked to pay if they had a claim. Tell me all the things you did. Tell me how many other cases you have. Tell me how many cases you resolved where you have paid. What is the problem in this particular case? What is wrong with the pricing? What is wrong with the contractor? What is wrong with anything that is associated with why you're not paying? Explain that to me. And that is a unbelievably humbling experience.
Let's take a break, and we'll come back. We'll kind of pick up where you left off there about, the very beginning processes of this. And so far, Scott is wound up today. I love passionate Scott Major. You got a question, we'll do it. 850-233-9988.
This is the Kramer Show on Panama City's information station, NewsTalk at 101.
Yes, all the questions everybody wants to know.
We're here. Call us 850-233-9988. This is the Kramer Show on NewsTalk at 101.
Scott Major from Major Peruis and the Storm Help Team with us today. You got a question, light them up, 850-233-9988. Talking about the beginning process of, from phone call, from the initial phone conversation that you have to kind of taking you through that process. And you can continue where you left off there, Mr. Major.
Sure. So at this deposition, I'm able to ask whatever questions that are necessary for me to learn what is the basis, what is the reason for them not paying you. Before a lawsuit is filed, you really have no idea. You might have a great public adjuster, but the public adjuster doesn't get good enough answers because they don't give him or her good enough answers, or they don't give complete answers, or the answers are ridiculous. When I get them under oath, and if they don't have a good explanation, if their explanation is poor, if their explanation is dilatory, if their explanation is not honest or not supported by facts, then they face the possibility of what's called bad faith. They face the possibility of having to pay you not only the amount you're owed, but they have the possibility of having to pay you much more. And that is for other damages, your emotional distress, other consequential damages, the fact you had to drive further, you had to rent other places, the fact that you had other problems, other costs, other charges, which ordinarily you wouldn't recover, but under the law, if they act unreasonably, if they delay without explanation, you now have the ability to recover all those costs. And candidly, if you took a poll in your city or county and you asked people what kind of harm they had, and people could describe it, the emotional harm, the stress, the frustration is 10 times the value of what their roof cost. And you and I haven't met a single person who hasn't been paid that hasn't suffered horrifically yet again. First they had to suffer because they got the nightmare of the storm. Now they have to suffer because they have a nightmare of some insurance company that's not paying them properly. So just imagine if you're in front of a jury and I can explain to a jury that they have to pay for the aggravation that is associated with this, and they have to pay for the extra damages and the extra gas of you having to travel more, or you having to move to another place during the time it was done, or to explain what it's like to live with 2 dogs and 2 kids in an RV outside of your, garage. You can imagine what people are going to say in the way of a jury verdict. You can imagine the kind of money you're going to get for your turmoil and your tribulation. Money, by the way, that you absolutely, unequivocally deserve. And so this process of being able to just hold the insurance company to their word through what we call a lawsuit is one of the most powerful tools in the world to simply get insurance companies to honor the promise they made when they took your money. Every month you paid your insurance premiums. You couldn't call them up and say, listen, there's been a storm. I haven't had time to pay you. I'll pay you next month. Let me pay you in 6 months when I get some more money. You had to pay month after month or they would terminate you. Why don't they have to pay immediately? Why isn't it reasonable for them to pay in a prompt way? And we're fortunate in Florida, and we're fortunate that we have a governor that cares, and we're fortunate that we have other officials that care, that are trying to say that the consumers have rights too. And so through this process, we are able to help people at a level that they otherwise wouldn't get help if they just did this on their own or hired a public adjuster. And it has nothing to do with knocking public adjusters or other people, because public adjusters send us cases and have done it for decades. It's that they can't sue. It's that after a couple of months, if you haven't been paid, you ought to be pursuing your legal rights. And so we hope that through this process, more and more people can get educated, and that you can take excerpts of this program and play it over and over again, so people get away from the myths and the rumors and just get what they deserve. They don't want us to have to get involved. We don't want to get into people's lives. But there's a time when you have to step it up. And there's a time where your family and your life matters enough to where you need to hire the best professional to be able to help you to get simply what you deserve, not a penny more and not a penny less.
Have you seen that with this storm that it's been a particularly difficult time for people with insurance claims, more so than others?
Yes, and let me tell you why. This storm has been the most devastating of all the storms I've seen since Andrew to the people. And let me tell you why. What's happened is more people in your community were displaced than in most any other storm, because there was nowhere to go when there was no housing. The infrastructure, the way roads are developed and moved in that area, did not allow for the kind of ingress and egress that you guys have suffered through the traffic problems you have, of workers coming in and all kinds of people taking all the hotel rooms and rental rates going up. It just couldn't tolerate the kind of devastation that occurred. And so people were not only displaced, schools were closed, but people had nowhere to live and were forced to live in tents and RVs, many of them to this date, and try to live in an RV more than a couple of days and see what that's like on your life. And as a result, the harm has been just horrific. Now, what's
the massacre down in Mexico,
processes that are associated with this
that
claim,
video of the I guess the grandfather,
adjusters and other people
that is one of the
who don't
most